Hey there, everyone, and as always, welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out for a few. My name is Rich, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. Usually, I don't do many slideshow presentations on YouTube. Those are reserved for some of my classes. But I wanted to address one of the big questions that I get asked regularly and offer a potential solution. So oftentimes, building a drone business, there is still plenty of room in the market, I promise. So, as I said, I get asked often, is it too late to start a drone business? Absolutely not. It's not too late at all. The drone industry is growing by leaps and bounds. New applications are coming up every day. So, from simple real estate imaging, where a lot of drone operators start, to doing video for real estate as well, getting into infrastructure, construction monitoring, agricultural monitoring, and so many other applications. As the drone space evolves, we're going to see more and more opportunities for drone pilots. But then the second question that comes behind that is, where do I start? Where do I begin? Well, the beginning point's a really simple one, taking the Part 107 exam from the FAA. So once you take and pass the Part 107, you have a commercial certification for doing drone work, and you can expand your horizons really quickly there. So once you've passed it, now you're ready to start asking the bigger questions, which is, where the heck do I even begin? And that's where I think that we've got something here for you that might help you move along. So, as we said, after passing the exam, things get a little less structured. There are different classes out there, of course, for different parts of drone operation, whether it's how to fly your drones and get really good at flying with the sticks, um, whether you're working on doing cinematic video, all of this, there's no real guidebook for it. And what we're talking about today here, there's no guidebook for it either. This is something that we've been compiling over the years since I started doing my drone business back in 2017. I got my first drone way back in 2014, but things weren't as streamlined as they are now with Part 107. It was a little confusing on FAA regulations. So I kind of shelved the drone for a couple of years, but broke it back out in 2017. So over the time that I've been building my business, I've also been building classes here at AZ Drone for our YouTube subscribers and for folks on our class channels. And I've pulled together some interesting classes over the past couple of years, and they've really come to a head for me recently when we built our new workflow class, which I'm going to be talking about. But in total, we have more than 40 hours of training materials to help you figure out that where do I go next? It was pretty straightforward and easy for the Part 107. You took some classes, you took the test, you got your certification. Now, from that point, the drone industry is kind of wide open as to where you're going to go and what you're going to do. So what I've been putting together, I think is going to be of help to you, and I hope that you follow through the end of this video where we're going to have a special link for you so that you can check out our entire bundled class series that includes 13 classes in total. All right, so classes from AZ Drone, here we are. Right now, we've got over 40 hours of course material to help get you started. That's a lot of video. Some of it might be very relevant to you, some of it might not. But let's start right here at the beginning. Our first course in our series, in our bundled series, is our Post Part 107 class. Now, I launched this one months and months and months ago, and this one is an introduction to, where are you going to start here? We're going to talk about what you need beyond just a drone and a phone, because we've got our drones, we've got our controllers, we've got our phones, and we're out there flying around willy-nilly. So we're going to talk about a very simple use case, real estate photography, and we're going to walk through what it takes to do a real estate shoot. And then we're going to talk about the equipment, the hardware, and the software that you're going to need to even do something as simple as a real estate shoot. So we actually talk about real numbers and, what some of the applications and hardware are going to cost. Just to give you an idea of starting up my drone business, here's the costs associated and here's the types of tools we're most likely going to need. And then we're going to talk about more complex jobs as well. things like what we do here at AZ Drone, construction progression monitoring, doing time-lapse flights, doing raw land, and doing total new construction. We're going to talk about that. Our second video in our big series, our second video series, is our new drone job workflow. So last year I was asked to put together a workflow of what I do in my process regularly for my clients. And that workflow has been pulled together. We've actually got it with a developer right now, and we're looking at developing some new tools in the drone market space, which you'll hear more about later on this channel this year. But in the meantime, we put together this great workflow from the moment you talk to the client to the moment that you send them their deliverables that they're waiting for. We walk through the entire thing. And I am extremely proud of this new drone job workflow that we've got here. So I hope you'll check it out. I hope you'll check the whole bundle out. Let's pop on and not lose our pace here. So after we talk about, what do we do after we've passed part 107? What do we really need for the components of our business? And then the workflow that we're going to be using, we move into 3D modeling for beginners. This is a very, very introductory course. And it's also targeted at keeping your costs down because some of the software gets really expensive, some of the hardware gets really expensive, and suddenly you find yourself spending tons of cash before you've even gotten your first client. You've got to do some practicing beforehand. You need to be able to show and demonstrate to people the types of things that you can do, whether it's modeling, video, stills, all of these things. You're gonna show, not tell, okay? So we start you out really simple with the 3D modeling for beginners. We talk about a couple of flight applications that we use here. Other autonomous flight applications can be used as well in our process. So it's kind of a flight application agnostic, okay? So we're going to talk about all of that in the 3D modeling for beginners. Then we're going to get into our drone construction progression. This is one of my niche markets, and I'm actually going to show you through one of our drone jobs and how we assembled our flights for this construction progression. So we'll also be featuring a little bit of Litchi and a little bit of MapPilot in this as well for flying and capturing our data. After those classes, we delve into 3 autonomous flight apps. We utilize Litchi a lot for doing still image and video waypoint missions. So we actually set up flight paths where we can take photos over and over again, and we set up flight paths where we can do video over and over again. And that helps us do time-lapse progression reports where we can show before and afters. And so Litchi is a great tool for that. Litchi is not a great tool for 2D and 3D modeling. So that's where we talk about MapPilot Pro and Ground Station Pro. These are 2 of the flight applications that I happen to use. I also use Drone Harmony. We also have played with Pix4D's Capture and Drone Deploy's Capture utilities as well. And all these flight apps do a very similar thing. So while you might not be using MapPilot or Ground Station Pro, watching these 2 video series is going to give you an idea of how you're going to want to set up flights, even if you're not using one of these 2 apps. If you're using Drone Harmony instead, it's going to translate because we make crosshatch pattern, grid pattern flights to capture 2D and 3D models. And these are repeatable flights that fly the same exact lines every single time to capture the same images over and over again. So if you're not a MapPilot or ground station person, it still might be a good idea for you to watch through these videos to get an idea of how we do flight setups for collecting our data for 2D and 3D models. As I said, there are many other applications out there. So you're welcome to use those other applications. You don't have to use the tools that we're using. All right. After we talk about those flight apps where we can create repeatable flights, we then step into 2D and 3D modeling. Now, there are a lot of cloud-based applications out there that will process your images that you collected for 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional models. So they'll create 3D models for you. They'll create 2D panos for you, digital elevation models, and so many other things. So you do not have to use the same tools we're using. But once again, this is going to give you a great idea of how these tools are used. So we utilize Metashape. That's one of our 2D and 3D modeling applications that we use. This is a much more expensive piece of software, coming in around $3,500. If you're just starting out and you're just building your business, that's a big chunk right there. That's an expensive expenditure for something that you're just learning. We do talk about the fact that there are two different versions of Metashape, and there are also trial versions of most of these 2D and 3D software modeling applications out there. So I encourage you to try out the different modeling applications and use their beta testing demo phase. Some of them will give you 14 days, some of them will give you up to a month. In the case of Metashape, they have both a pro version and a standard version, so you can test out each of them separately to give yourself more time to practice and learn. The second option that we're using here is WebODM. That's an open source drone modeling program. Open source means it's pretty low cost. In fact, if you're into doing command line stuff, you can get WebODM for free and compile it and set it up through your console interface. They also do offer installers for Windows, for Mac, and for Linux. So those installers for Windows and Mac are $57 one-time fee, no additional licensing fee afterward. And you can actually build some pretty compelling two-dimensional and three-dimensional models with WebODM. Now, Metashape and WebODM are each their own separate classes. So I do encourage you to click on over and check our class bundle, where you can actually take a look at each of the video series that we have, and you can watch some of the previews as well. So we're not hiding things from you. I want you to see the previews so that you know what we're covering, and you'll know if it's going to be useful for you in building your small drone business. So after we talk about the different 3D modeling software, we jump into one additional thing, which might seem a little off topic to you, but it really isn't. We talk about 360 drone and ground imaging. So some of the hottest things right now when it comes to imaging are, of course, drone imaging applications, but also 360 tours has become really popular in the past couple of years. And with that said, combining your 360 drone work with ground-based drone work, you have a lot of opportunities to present potential customers more ways to look at their construction sites, their agriculture sites, their infrastructure sites, their real estate sites. You get the idea. So in the last 3 video sets, we talk about 360 drone imaging at a very base level, where you can actually see how we've assembled a very simple virtual tour with a drone. We also do cover the Ricoh Theta Z1, which is a ground-based 360 camera. So you could tie your ground-based 360 tours into your drone 360 tours as well. So those 3 additional classes that we have are the Theta Z1, working with Kula, a cloud-based presenter. And let me see here, the assembly of our 360 tours in a 3-story art gallery here in Prescott. So there's the whole coverage of our new bundle series for our classes at AZ Drone. And I hope that you take a few moments to go check it out. Once again, this isn't going to be the end all be all for you. You're still going to be growing into your business. So the tools and techniques that we talk about in these video series work very well for us, but you might want to expand into other applications, other hardware, other software. I think going through this full workflow and showing you through some of the samples of the tools you can use are going to spur enough great ideas with you to get you going in the direction that you want to be going as you're building your small drone business. As I said, you don't have to do everything that we do here, but we're giving you ideas so that you can go forward and start building your own workflow, building your own toolkit, and managing your growth as you start selling to new clients in your small drone imaging business.